Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. Of course, I'm your girl, Brandy Yvonne. Here on my channel, we do fun reviews, recaps, and discussions of all of our favorite shows. I had to restart this recording, y'all, because I had Sunny's forehead on the background, and that was not going to work for this particular video. So, I had to stop and just restart, okay? Anyway, before we get into it, please do not hesitate to hit that thumbs up button for your girl. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you already are not. If you're enjoying this content, it don't cost you nothing to subscribe. This is still a growing channel, so I definitely appreciate all y'all support. Y'all been coming through. Make sure you comment. Let me know what y'all thought of this particular episode. It was entertaining for sure. I was laughing. And I learned some stuff. So anyway, also comment, I said comment, share where you like to share your videos. Anyway, we are talking College Hill. This is, because I'm BT Plus. So if you are not subscribed to BT Plus, you missing out. No, but if you're not, just watch my reviews. I'm gonna give you, a gist of what happens on the show. You're gonna be good. So even if you're not subscribed to the BT Plus, you don't want to pay your $9.99 or whatever it costs. I don't remember what it costs. I think it was $9.99 though. Child, I got so many of them damn subscription things coming up. I just got a notification for one right now. You be just having too many subscriptions and you feel like you need to cancel one, but you don't know which one to cancel. That's how I be feeling. But anyway, like I said, it's College Hill Celebrity Edition Season 3, Episode 2, Where's My Mother Effing Baby? Okay. So let's get into the episode. So basically, the episode picked up where they left off from last week, where they were in the political science writing class with Dr. Russell Frazier. Shout out to Dr. Russell Frazier. He kind of fine. I was like, he kind of looks good, hey, Professor Frazier. Anyway, Karlos is still talking about homelessness and mental health and saying it's a choice and saying that, people who want to be homeless, that's on them. And he's just not getting it. He's making it very black and white. He's saying that, he's saying all these things, and it's going to come up again later in the episode when they're in the class again. So I don't want to go too much into it right now, but he's basically saying the same stuff he was saying and talking about, people want to be in that situation, and if they wanted not to be homeless, they wouldn't be homeless. He just sounds very ignorant about the situation. So, Tamar and Nick are feeling like this is too much. Like already we got to deal with this and the people in the house and home. Like it's too much. So anyway, they go to the next class, I believe, because Angela was like, you know what, Karlos, she can't do all that. Karlos got too much going on. Oh, I forgot to silence my device. Karlos is doing too much. So, they go to the next class. So the next class is like a media writing, and I think it's a media writing and empowerment class. And so basically, I forgot the professor's name, but basically, she's trying to teach them how to do story writing, storytelling, taking back your own narrative and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to get into groups for the first activity, and you are going to interview your partner, and then you're going to go up there and talk about what you interviewed them about. And basically, you got to talk about things that are, in the headlines about them that are not true. And this is very much focused on the celebrities, right? The students there, they're not in the headlines. The regular students, right? And so things that are not true, misconceptions. And then what do you want people to know about you? Like what legacy do you want to leave behind? Now, this became very triggering for Angela, aka Black China. She really struggled with the assignment. So we see Karlos and Tamar in a group with a couple other students in the class. And Tamar said, people think she's difficult or problematic, that she starts issues. And Karlos said, all the things y'all might see about Tamar, I can tell you firsthand, those are not true. Like, y'all are young Black women. They try to say, she's like an angry Black woman, and Tamar's not that. Now, I don't get angry Black woman from Tamar, but she has been problematic in the past, right? So anyway, Karlos had shared that he got, fired publicly. I remember when he got fired from Wild Now. And so when they went up there and did their presentation, I'll go and fast forward a little bit. When they went up there and did that, that's basically what they talked about. And Tamar said she really related to Karlos. Carlos's story because they both have been deemed hard to work with, hard to get along with others, problematic, all that kind of thing, right? Now in Angela and Claudia's group, Angela didn't want to answer. She had Claudia go first. Claudia said that, people think that, she's mean or difficult, and um, people think she says all these mean things. And she said one of her friends said that she says stuff, but she can get away with it, but Claudia can't because of Claudia's name. And Claudia said that people don't want the truth. They run away with headlines. And other students are trying to ask Angela some of her story and what legacy she wants to leave behind. And she's really struggling with the assignment. She said, she also mentioned at some point that she didn't stand up for herself in the past when people would put out negative headlines about herself. So this assignment really triggered her. And she just started thinking about things people said about her. And, she's trying to move forward. So she's really struggling with it. And Claudia can see that. She kind of doesn't know who she wants to be right now because she's trying to let go of her old self, right, and become something new. And we're gonna go back to Angela in a second. So let's go to Saucy and Nick's group. So um Saucy said about Nick when they went up there that people think that Nick is just, doesn't take anything seriously, nonchalant, and people don't think about like the hard work that really goes into what he does and all that good stuff, and that he does take things seriously, right? I like Nick. I don't have a problem with Nick. He grew on me from couples retreat. Anyway, um, one of the students when they were interviewing Saucy, they said, "Do you think that like hyper masculinity and things like that play a part to like some of the things said about you?" And Saucy said he does think that. And from this episode, I learned that I think he's okay with being called he, because remember last review, I was not sure exactly about his pronouns. So he said he wants to be all man, and people think because of his mannerisms and things, and they see past the beard, that he wants to be a girl. But he said he's happy being a man. So, and they were calling him he. So from now on, we're going to move forward calling him he, just so y'all know. So, and I was actually intrigued by learning that about Saucy because I didn't know, what he preferred or what he wanted to be known as, and I don't know much about his personal story. Like I told you, I didn't watch him on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So I'm glad we do get to know him in this way, right? So when Nick went up there, he spoke highly of him, and he said people think, he wants to be a girl, and that's not him. And he just wants to be, the baddest and doing his thing, being free, being him. And so that's what we got from Saucy. So then when it's time for Angela, well, Angela and the professor spoke because the professor could see Angela was breaking down and she was crying. And the professor basically poured into her and said, I wanted you to use this assignment to tell your story and deal with all that. And Angela couldn't take it anymore. She was nervous. She didn't want to go up there. So she said she's leaving. She's not doing this mother effort assignment. And she left the class. Everybody doesn't know what's going on. She couldn't handle it. Claudia felt kind of responsible because she was her partner. And Angela said, just really triggered her because she's trying to let go of her past and she feels like she can't escape the past. And when I'm watching this episode, it kind of reminded me of what my pastor actually preached about yesterday. So it was kind of funny that this came up. And I'm not trying to be, super churchy or religious or anything. I do attend church. I watched church online yesterday. I was very much bedside Baptist yesterday. But the pastor was saying, about 4 negative things, not to believe about yourself. And one of them is that you are enough. Okay. And one of them another one of them was like your past does not define you, right? And he was talking about, you can't run from your past, but everyone has a past. That doesn't mean that that's who you are now. And so it made me think about that when it came to Angela and what I wish I could tell Angela or someone could pour into her is that your past does not define you, and everyone's not going to see the change in you right away, right? I even experienced this personally with my friends. I felt like they viewed me one way from college and they continue to see me that particular way up until the last few years. I feel like then when we've hung out in those last few years, they see the woman I've become, right? And they're not still seeing little Brandy from UC Davis undergrad, right? So I would say to Angela, like, don't worry about It's hard. It's easier said than done. I'm not trying to say like it's so easy, but don't worry about what people say from you about you for your past and your past mistakes and people holding you to who you were in the past. Family and friends and the media have a tendency to do that. Just continue working on being the new you and growing and discovering who that new you is. And eventually everybody will catch up, right? It's going to take time. You can't expect for everyone to let go of your past, but as long as you're letting go of your past and you're moving forward and who you want to be and this new person you want to be, that's what matters. But your past is not what defines you and it's not who you are. But anyway, I just wanted to, say that because I'm sure a lot of people relate to Angela's story, right? Anyway, moving on. Angela got outside, everybody, hugged and rallied around her and supported her. And later on in the episode, we see when they got home that Angela's talking to Claudia, and Claudia checked in with her, and she's like, "Did I say anything that bothered you?" And she's like, "No, I just didn't realize how triggering this was." But the professor did let her turn the assignment in later that day, so she was able to get it into her later that night. And I'm glad she went ahead and did the assignment because it probably will be healing for her, right? Anywho, after that, I think we saw Saucy go to cheerleading practice. Now he was late. Coach, what's his name? Donald said, "Okay, team, what time is cheerleading practice?" He's like, "Do you know time cheerleading practice starts?" He's like, "I don't know, 6:30." Mind you, it's 7:05 p.m. Coach said, "It's 6:30. Practice is at 6:30." So they were like, "Okay, what team? What do you gotta do when you're late?" So somebody else was like, so they had to run like a lap or something. Saucy said he'll show you how to walk, but he not running. So he said they were like, you need to keep up with your teammate because the student was running and Saucy was walking. So Saucy's like, "Oh no, I got this newborn baby. Like I'm not about to be shaking my baby up. They're gonna have shaking baby syndrome." Saucy, you're taking this baby too far. Like I get it because I would do something like that too, but then there's a point where you need to stop. So anyway, so Saucy's doing the practice with the girls. He said he seen the boys on the cheerleading team and he bonding with the girls and he wants to start a bond with the boys. So, Saucy is entertaining on this show, I ain't gonna lie. So he's trying to do the routine, but he's like off. The coach was really on him, but I'm sure it was on purpose to like get a rise out of him and make the scene. So he didn't have his arms tied. He's like, "How's their arms? Look how your arms are." And so then Saucy was just not getting the moves right. He's like, "Okay, you're looking very raggedy. It's giving very raggedy. This is not going to work. You need to learn the moves." Da da da. So Saucy's like, "Can we slow down for the new people? They were going really fast. It's hard to learn choreography." So then the coach is like, "No, it's giving very raggedy." So Saucy's like, "Okay, well, I see other people who are very raggedy out here as well." So coach was like, "Okay, team, what happens when somebody wants to go back and forth with the coach?" And so they were like, "You gotta do the burpees." But they had to do like the tuck burpees, okay, where they flip and then do a burpee. I was like, "Oh, I can't do that. I would have been down there doing them regular. I could do a regular burpee all day, but them tuck burpees, no ma'am." So Saucy was like, "Oh no, I'm not doing all that." So the other, I guess it was like assistant coach or something. So okay, we're gonna just do the regular burpees. And so also, side note, Saucy Santana had on like this gray sweater with a gray skirt, and so Coach Don was like, "Who wears a skirt to practice? Like, where's the uniform?" Saucy said, "I just wore a little what's it, Givenchy. I thought that would suffice." And he said they didn't send him a complete uniform; they sent him a shirt and like a little blowhorn. He's like, "Where's the shorts and tights so he could show off this BBL body?" I'm not mad at you, Saucy. So anywho, Saucy did little burpees. He said, "Okay, first you don't succeed. You got to get up and try again." So he started putting in more effort because he didn't want to be told what to do. And I get it. I don't like being told what to do either, but somebody's going to tell you what to do in this life, okay? Somebody's going to tell you what to do. I don't care how much grown you are, how much of an adult you are. Someone is going to be telling you what to do, okay? And the faster people learn that, the easier their life will be. So anywho, Saucy finally started getting to it. He finally got the jump right, and everybody was cheering. So it ended up working out for him. He ran outside to me, "Oh, there's boys out there." So the cheerleading team rallied around him. He had somebody watch his baby, little Bianca, because he said he got to bring that baby where he goes because he does not have childcare for his newborn baby, right? Okay, so they get back to the house and they're trying to hit the books, do the homework. They got a lot of homework to do. They got to write the policy brief and all that. Claudia is really, jamming away on it, and Karlos is saying, he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't agree with it, and he asked Nick, like, you probably don't even care about homelessness, none of this. And so Nick was like, actually, I really do care. Like, I'm more so concerned about the mental health aspect of it because my brother has suffered with mental health issues, and so I started a foundation for that. And so that's why this really does mean a lot to me. So then Nick shares with us how he had an older brother pass away due to like gun violence or something like that, and then his other brother got into a deep depression because of the other brother passing away. And so he started having mental health issues, and so that's why he started his foundation. And he said he wanted to start it because like his brother, sometimes when he goes on his episodes, he'd be out in the street and he's like, if it wasn't for me taking care of him, everyone would think, he's just a homeless person as well, and he really does have mental health issues. So Carlos is like, okay, I understand. Like, I'm sure everybody got, family members and people dealing with stuff. And so he said, okay, like, I see what you're going with your brother. I'm gonna try to put that for into the assignment. And Nick told him, you want to get A on the assignment, right? You got to put your feelings aside. And Nick told him right. And shout out to Nick for trying to help his brother and all that. Like, again, I'm happy to learn more of this side of Nick as well. And now at some point, Saucy had came home and he changed his clothes to his moo, his house dress, and then he was trying to sit down and do his homework, but he said he couldn't do it. No, he's not doing it. Karlos was like, come on, man, you don't want to fail. He's like, no, I'm just doing my extra credit. It's not going to cut it, Saucy, but okay. And so he's like, no, I'm not doing this. He's not doing the work. He goes to bed. Now, he really does sleep in his panties. He was not lying because they showed him. I was like, Saucy, you really go to bed like that? I ain't mad at it, though. It was cute. So anyway, he up there in the bed trying to turn the lights off, hollering Alexa. And I don't want to say too loud, but my Alexa, people on TV can say Alexa and she think you talking to her. So he hollering, Alexa, 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 turn the lights off, turn the lights off. So everybody's downstairs like, oh my God, like, why is he being so loud? Like, you are disturbing everybody. We trying to do our homework. So then the lights were like not going off, and then I guess they start flickering. So he started hollering, Tamar, the lights are flickering. He jumped all out the bed. And so Tamar was saying that Saucy is always being disruptive. So they showed a montage of him being disruptive. He was in Nick's room. He had to kick him out of his room because he's just always in the house shouting and all that. And so they were like, this is too much. Like Nick said, he's smiling, but he crying because, dealing with all these personalities plus all this homework. Karlos feels like this is too much homework. This is just too much for him. So anyway, eventually they got done with the whole policy thing and they decided to go to bed. Now, Saucy left his baby, Bianca, on the table when he went to bed, right? So Claudia and Karlos noticed he left the baby behind. So they were like, let's teach Saucy a lesson. Let's hide the baby. And they were in the confessional saying how they feel like he's an unfit father. And they're gonna hide the baby for him to teach him a lesson. He's struggling with fatherhood and all that. So they hit her in the cabin and wrote like a note, my daddy doesn't love me or something like that. Now it was funny at first, but I knew it was going to be going very, very left, right? So Nick kind of saw what they were doing, but he's like, I'm staying out of it. So the next morning, everybody's getting up, getting ready. Nick telling them they better make their beds too. And so, oh yeah, Nick said he went to USC. He didn't have to do all this work. I'm like, unless they was just letting you get by on basketball, USC is it's a no joke school as far as I know. But I don't know. I didn't apply there and I didn't go there. Anywho, so in the morning, Saucy, he's up ready for school, but he can't find his baby. He looking for Bianca. And Claudia was like, oh my God, I thought this was going to be a funny joke, but he's taking it very seriously. Like, should I tell him? I feel like Claudia should have told him in the beginning before he got time to get mad and sit at home all day by himself about it. So he can't find a baby. He's not even getting ready for school. Tamar's like, okay, I'm going to help you find a baby. And then Tamar's like, come on, just go. I just leave the baby behind. Claudia came in and talked to him because he laid across the bed at this point. He gave up. He said he's not going to school with his baby. Nope. He is not going to school with his baby. I feel like he's using that baby as an excuse. And so Claudia's like, it's not a real baby. Like, come on. What do you want me to tell the teacher? He's like, tell her I had a family emergency because I'm not going to school until I find my baby. I was like, all right, like, come on, Saucy. It's a fake baby. Like, come on. And so they're like, damn, he lost a real baby. And he was. So he literally did not go to school over this baby. Now they went to class and he at home tearing up the house trying to find this baby. Like throwing pillows and everything everywhere. I'm like, what the heck? He's like, oh, this is on Bad Girls Club stuff and y'all touching my stuff. Now Tamar said she did not agree with this. you do not touch people's stuff. And I can see that point too. Like, do not touch people's stuff. Like, a prank is funny, but don't touch people's stuff. Especially you're not good with them like that. Yeah, Claudia, this was not the best idea, girl. But it was funny. So anywho, they go to class. So they go to a class, and I can't think of that professor's name, but she's really pretty. She's like a real cool professor. Was her name Anjane or Anjani, something like that? Anyway, she had a pretty green dress on. And this was a class about Mardi Gras and Zulu culture and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to be learning about the history and the culture of Mardi Gras and Zulu and all that. So they learned about the history of Zulu, which I didn't know about. And so Zulu started, I believe they said in 1909. And it was basically meant to help and aid the community as a resource. But they also started having parades where they would make fun of white elites, and like really over exaggerate racial stereotypes and to like combat them. So I guess in the 1970s, I believe it was. But now they're more focused on like aid and community resources. But in the 1970s, they would do the parades and everything, and they started integrating, right? And they would have, white people doing it as well, and I'm sure other cultures, and they were doing blackface. And even the white people were doing blackface. So Claudia's like, wait, hold up. Is that a white person, a black person? What up? What? And so it was a white person doing blackface. And so Karlos was like, oh, this is the blackest my face is about to be. And so professor was like, yeah, me too. And she said she remembered when she was undergrad in New Orleans, and she was with her boyfriend, and they saw the parade, and she was like, is that a white person in blackface? Like, what? She's like, oh. So that has been a controversial topic. And Claudia's like, okay, but we've always been taught that, blackface is wrong. And she shared in the confessional how, back in the day, white people would be acting and they would put on blackface to make fun of black people. So like blackface is a very sensitive topic, for our community, and it's a very touchy thing, right? So the fact that they're letting the white people do blackface as well, and so everyone's feeling like, okay, y'all could do the blackface, but don't let the white people do the blackface, right? So the professor shared that for the Zulu people, that blackface thing does not have the same racial connotation as we know blackface to have, right? They're not thinking of it as a making fun of black people thing. They're just thinking of it as a mask and paint. And so Tamar is saying, okay, this is getting very touchy because people are getting offended by this, but this is the people's culture, and it's getting very complex. And that's what education and history is, very complex, right? That's the point. So, they're like, so the professor is saying that, like, this has been controversial because, a lot of people don't agree with the Zulu people letting the white people wear the blackface. So I knew nothing about this. So, this was interesting to learn about, right? So their assignment is going to be to go to Mardi Gras, not just have fun and drink. Tamar says she want to go lift up her shirt, have a cocktail, but she's going to be in class. But they're going to have to take 5 pictures, now a selfie by yourself, take 5 pictures of people who are there and find out their story and why they're attending the event, which I'm going to be interested to see that episode for sure. So anyway, then they go back to the policy class, and Karlos, he's saying what's up to the teacher, and he was like, yeah, you was really getting on me last time, whatever. And so the teacher said, Professor Russell said he was literally listening to their conversations last time and their debate they were having. So he asked them, how did it go with your first policy, brief assignment? Claudia said we turned it in. We're not sure, if we got it right. And so Karlos was saying something about the whole policy brief, and he was saying, I don't know if this is when he was talking about, you could pour billions of dollars. He said this could be fixed overnight by the politicians. And so he was saying that, oh yeah, because the professor said, you said that this could be fixed with money, like how? And so Karlos was saying, like, all these billion-dollar industries, alcohol, tobacco, this and that products people are buying every day, if they charge the 3% corporate tax in the state of Louisiana, they could take that money and create all this funding for homelessness. I mean, yes and no, Karlos, right? It's not that black and white, like I said last time. Yes, they could try to do that. And so the professor said, but you got to write a bill for it. Like, you have to ask for it. That's the point of writing the bill for it. And that's what you guys are doing. So Tamar was saying, well, how do we write a bill that's going to be attractive to these politicians to make the change, right? Because that's another aspect of it. Like, that's why it's not that easy, Karlos. So the professor said that's where you guys come in to use your critical thinking to try to create this bill. So Tamar was like, oh, okay. He said that's the point of college is you're going to have a challenge. You got to challenge yourself, use a critical thinking, but be optimistic, and that is literally the point of college. Okay, literally the point. And so everyone's like, yeah, you got to be optimistic. Yeah, try. So Carlos is like, man, I don't agree with that. That's some bull. So then they're like, what? And so then he says something to Professor, and he's called a man or bro, and he's like, it's Professor Frazier to you. I said, I know that's right, Professor. Hey, Professor Frazier. Anyway, so he got him all the way together, right? And so Nick is like, dude, you need to be quiet. Like, just let him talk. And so Claudia was like, I'm not trying to be a teacher, but listen up. Like, what if you were in a nice neighborhood that you really liked, you got the home in, and somebody else in that neighborhood, they for whatever reason lost their home. What if they started breaking into your house and squatting in your house? She was like, I really like this subject means a lot to me. Like, that's why it's really near and dear to me. Like, I really agree with that. And he's like, oh, well, I got something for them. They do that. I got some new stuff. She's like, no, like, be for real, be serious. Like, it can happen. And so Angela, I don't know if she shared at this point or if it was the beginning of the episode when they were in the class the previous day, but she shared that, like, you could get homeless by anything can happen, which is true. She said she remembered when her Dodge Ram truck Dodge Charger got repossessed. Okay. And that's true. Like, people, especially in this economy, and even Claudia said, some people became homeless due to the pandemic. The way this economy is set up, people are living paycheck to paycheck. And what if your car broke down and you got a light bill due and you got to pay your rent and you got to make a decision between all those things and you can't afford to take care of all of them, and you get in a hole, you get further behind, you get behind on your rent or your mortgage, and you get evicted and you end up homeless. It has nothing to do with your mental health. You just couldn't afford to get by. Like, that's why it's like Karlos is talking about things like they're just so simple and they're really not. And he's being very insensitive to a huge population of people, actually to all of us regular everyday people. He's being very insensitive, right? So everyone's debating about it, going back and forth. And so Nick is saying something about it being mental health, and I don't know if they cut something out, because I don't know why Carlos got so mad at Nick all the time, all of a sudden when Nick spoke. And so Nick kept telling him to be quiet, let the professor speak, because the professor kept trying to, kind of get stuff from Carlos, telling him to be optimistic and all that. And it's like, okay, it's okay to disagree, but you got to be respectful. And so next thing you know, Carlos told Nick, man, shut up and dribble. I was like, that was so nasty and so rude. And then he's like, no, man, because he's stupid and he don't even know anything. And in the confessional, he's talking about, oh, he might have got CTE and he don't know what's wrong with him and he could barely shoot something. He's talking bad about him. So he stands up. And I was like, Carlos, why are you standing up? Why are you standing up? So he stands up. And you can tell Nick got instantly pissed. Thank God Tamar was right there. Tamar grabbed Nick's arm so he wouldn't move. And so Nick never stood up, and I was like, thank God. Like, and he was like, Nick was like, I ain't never let nobody wear a size 5 talk to me like this. Like, and Nick said in his confessional, like, he didn't want to get kicked out from the program, so that's why he didn't, stand up and go back with him. And he didn't want to get kicked out for fighting. He's not that kind of guy. He wasn't going to give him the energy back. And I'm glad he didn't. I'm really glad he didn't, because Carlos' little self was not worth it. And Carlos, you sound stupid. You sound ignorant. Like, you just sound like you want to be combative to be combative. So at some point class was dismissed and the professor asked Carlos to stay behind, and they left, and they were in the car, and they were like, yeah, Nick was out trying to get him to get the hint, like, dude, chill out, but he was not getting it, and he wasn't. And Claudia says she doesn't mind the opposing view, but when you're just doing it for attention, it's too much, and that's what it's giving. So Carlos and the teacher spoke. Now meanwhile, Saucy's at home talking on the phone with one of his friends, and one of his friends said something about Claudia being churchy. I don't know where they got that from, because Claudia is definitely not churchy. But he was like, no, she cool. She not like that. And he's talking about how they hit the baby and how, he's upset now and he got something for them. Now, when they were earlier, before the political science class, I guess he called Tamar on FaceTime, and he was like, so who had the baby? Because he found the baby in the cabinet around 2 o'clock with the note. And so he's like, who had the baby? And so Tamar was like, oh, don't be touching my stuff. It was not me. She's like, I am not for that. Do not do that. And so Nick was laughing at him. So then he got mad because Nick was laughing at him. All right. So anyway, back to the political science class, and professor's talking to Karlos, and Karlos is just being very irate, and he's like, man, I don't mind you just, disagreeing, but it's just very disrespectful. And he's like, they can use an opposing view, and which I agree, because the opposing view will help them write the bill better, like what the professor was trying to tell him, like, because then, it will help them think of stuff maybe they didn't think of if they're hearing on the opposing side. So it can be beneficial to the project that Karlos is the opposing view, right? Because he's going to think of stuff to counteract what they say. So Karlos didn't see it that way. He said, no, I just feel like they're disagreeing with me, because he then shouts out in the class before everybody left that they were bullying him. No, you're the one standing up trying to get Nick's face. You're the bully. Like, how are they bullying you, sir? Something wrong with Karlos. Something wrong with him. I'm sorry. Something wrong with him. So anyway, he was like, no, I don't see it like that. They're trying to just come against me. And he's like, no, like, you got to be positive. You got to be optimistic. He's like, it's okay for you to disagree, but you got to be respectful about it. And you hear what I'm saying? So he's like, I hear you. Like, I respect what you're saying, but it goes both ways. Like, you got to hear me and respect me also. He's like, you want me to just sit there and not say nothing? So he said, even since pre-K, he said that he always been the type that he got to get out what he's saying. If he can't express what he's feeling, that it hurts him inside. It's a time, and people who say stuff like that just kill me, because that means you don't have wisdom. If you can determine, yes, it's fine to get off your chest everything you want to say, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a time and a place for everything, and some stuff need to remain in your mind. Some stuff you don't need to say, right? Some stuff goes better left unsaid. And if you don't have wisdom and discernment on when to say stuff and not to say stuff, then you just sound ignorant, just saying stuff, right? So professor tried to get him to understand. He was like, yeah, I hear you, man. But he wasn't really receiving it, right? So everybody left, and everybody got to the house, and Swaggy goes immediately to check on Saucy, because he's like, oh, Saucy, my boy, you've been here all day. And I like how Nick and Saucy are. I like their little friendship. So he's like, you my boy, like, you've been here all day, like, what's going on? So he's like cheesing. Like, Nick is one of those people that's kind of always smiling, right? So he kind of has a smiley face. So Saucy's like, oh, he came in here smiling, telling you my bro and stuff. Like, you was on the FaceTime laughing with me. No, I'm not appreciating that. So everybody in the kitchen, and so Claudia's like, oh my gosh, like, I thought this was going to be a funny joke, but he's really, really mad. Like, I didn't think he would be this upset. Like, maybe this was not a good idea. Girl, no. So he was like, Tamar, so he's like, so who hit my baby? Who my baby? Like, I'm about to do the. So Tamar's like, oh, it was not me. Don't do that. He's like, okay. So Tamar's out. He's like, okay, it's between you, Nick, Angela, Claudia, Karlos. So Nick was like, hold on, you got to wait till everybody, is back home in the house, because he's trying to figure out, okay, what happened to the baby. And I think that's pretty much where it ended, where Saucy's just going off, and he's like, no, I don't want to talk to nobody. He's walking around the house with the phone, I don't want to talk to nobody. And then he had his fan, he's like, so who hit my mother effing baby? Where's my mother effing baby? Like, who hit my baby? And I think that's pretty much where it ended. And it looks like next week Claudia is going to tell him that it was her. Anyway, like I said, it was a pretty entertaining episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Now, I think this show comes out every Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. I'll figure it out this week and try to get on a better schedule. But we are definitely caught up for the first 2 episodes. So y'all let me know if y'all feeling this new season of College Hill Celebrity Edition. And I'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye.